You had a reason. You were sure of it. You stood up. You crossed the room. You walked through the door. And then, nothing. The thought is gone. Completely. Like it was never there. You look around the room. Nothing helps. You can't even remember what you came for. This happens to you. It happens to most of us. And it has a name. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your brain does this. And it is not what you think. But first, here's the strange part. If you had walked the same distance without going through a door, you probably would have remembered. In 2011, psychologists at the University of Notre Dame ran an experiment. They gave people a simple memory task inside a virtual world. Pick up an object from a table. Carry it to another table. Easy. In one version, the second table was across a big open room. Same distance, same task. In the other version, there was a door in the middle. The people who crossed the doorway forgot what they were carrying more often, noticeably more. Not because the room was different, not because the walk was longer, just because they passed through a door. Now, maybe you think that only happens in a virtual game. Fair. So they repeated it in real rooms, with real people carrying real objects in boxes, so they couldn't peek at what they were holding. Same result. Cross a doorway. Worse memory. Walk the same distance without one. Fine. The door was doing something to the brain. But what? Here's the thing about your brain. It is not a camera. It doesn't record everything in one long film. It chops your life into chapters. And every time something changes, your brain asks, does this new chapter need what was in the last one? Researchers call these chapters event models. Your brain is building one right now, for wherever you are. It includes what you're doing, what you need, what's happening around you. When things stay the same, the event model stays open. When something major changes, a new location, a new goal, a new context, your brain closes the file. It doesn't erase the memory. It archives it, files it away. And whatever was in that file, slightly harder to reach. A doorway is the signal your brain uses to say, new chapter, new file, starting now. But why would your brain do something so annoying? Jeffrey Sachs, a psychologist at Washington University in St. Louis who has spent years studying how we segment experience, puts it simply, most of what you were thinking about in the living room is genuinely irrelevant the moment you enter the kitchen. Your brain knows this. It adjusts ahead of time to prepare you for the new space. Most of the time, it's right. Occasionally, it costs you the one thing you actually needed. That is the tax you pay for having an efficient brain. So your brain isn't malfunctioning. It's doing its job extremely well. It's just, sometimes, your job and your brain's job have different priorities. You wanted the scissors. Your brain already moved on. Now, you've probably done this. You blank out in the new room. You walk back to where you started, thinking that will bring it back. Sometimes it does. But here's what the same Notre Dame team found when they tested this properly. Going back through the doorway does not reliably restore the memory. Let that sit for a moment. The brain doesn't reopen the old file just because you return to the old room. The chapter is already closed. The archive already filed. Walking back is not a rewind button. It is just another doorway. Okay. Think about how many times in your life you've stood in a room wondering why you came in. How many times you assumed it was your fault. Bad focus, bad memory, getting older. It wasn't you. It was the door. But here's where it gets strange. A 2014 study, Lawrence and Peterson, tested whether the forgetting needed a real door. It didn't. Participants who simply imagine walking through a doorway, no real room, no real movement, forgot just as much as the people who physically crossed one. The doorway is not about the door. It is about what the door represents in your mind. A change of scene. A new chapter beginning. Your brain responds to the idea of crossing a boundary, even if the boundary isn't there. So if the mind is the real trigger, can you stop it? A 2021 study tried to replicate the doorway effect using fully immersive virtual reality. And in one experiment, they made the rooms visually identical. Same walls, same light, same everything. The doorway effect almost disappeared. When the brain doesn't perceive a strong change in context, when there is nothing to signal new chapter, it keeps the file open. The door alone isn't enough. Your brain needs to believe the world has changed. So the solution is simple. Paint every room in your house the exact same color. Your memory will be perfect. Your interior designer will never speak to you again. There is, however, a real strategy that actually works. Say your goal out loud before you cross the threshold. Literally, speak it. I'm going to the kitchen for the charger. When you say something out loud, many researchers believe you create a second memory trace, an auditory one. That trace is separate from the spatial memory your brain is about to archive. It survives the chapter change. You are not fighting the doorway. You are giving the thought a second place to live. Somewhere your brain can still reach after the first place gets filed away. So here's what is actually happening every time you blank out in a doorway. Your brain is not forgetting. It is filing. It is doing the same thing it always does. Organizing your life into chapters, keeping the current scene relevant, letting the last one go. Most of the time that system runs silently. You never notice it, but walk through the wrong door at the wrong moment, and suddenly you're standing in a room, empty-handed, wondering where your thought went. Your brain didn't lose it. It just decided the old chapter was done. The question is, was it right? Next time you blank out, try this. Don't walk back. Don't look around hoping something triggers it. Just say out loud what you came for. Before you get there, if it was important, it'll survive the crossing.